Africa Radio Media 21st century. Yes, that's the sound of thunder right here on the Black Ocean Network, 54 corresponding show. My name is Spikes, and I just want to welcome everyone to this particular episode of the 54 corresponding show, a show where we get to discuss matters, and of course, trending and topical matters right here on the African continent. But today we are taking a shift. We're taking a different path. Because today we shall be discussing about the wildlife heritage of the African continent. And you get to realize if you have been on the continent and if you have actually had the opportunity to go and visit any national park, right here on the African continent, you get to realize that they are, Africa is really much endowed with some of the best wildlife. And, I'm talking about the elephants, I'm talking about the lions. For example, in our beautiful country of Kenya, we do have the big five, and these are the leopard, the lion, the cheetah, the buffalo, the rhinoceros, the elephant, and of course, these are some of the things that we do take pride in because they do attract a lot of tourists bringing in revenue to the country of Kenya. And today's focus will be about preservation or preserving our wildlife heritage, not the flora and fauna. Today we shall be discussing mostly about the fauna, the animals on the continent, and even a little bit much further. We shall be discussing about some of the ways in which perhaps some of the solutions in which perhaps the government can some of the ways in which the government can use to address this particular issue of poaching, because poaching has become one of the biggest challenges. For example, in South Africa, we have had about the government opting to go and set up GPRS locators on some of the wildlife, such as the elephants in this particular country, which is really not a good thing because they're trying to curb the menace of poaching in their nation. We do find even some of the poachers encroaching, getting to the national parks and trying to get to kill the elephants for their tasks. But nonetheless, we shall be delving much deeper into that particular updates in regards to the processes or in regards to the activities that are being done to save the animals. But before then, I want to update us on some matters taking place continentally from Nigeria. The whole week, the NSARS hashtag has been trending. And of course, we did get to highlight what has been happening in that particular country, where the government did put in place one of the units, which was known as the special anti-robbery squad, or otherwise known as the SARS. And this particular robbery squad, anti-robbery squad, has been said to have changed from its original, mandate to go and tackle the issue of curb anti-robbery in this particular country. And then they become the robbers themselves. They became the unit that has been harassing people, and some of them have also been said to have been involved in extrajudicial killings in Nigeria. And it got to a point where people actually got tired with this squad with the murders, since they are the ones that have put together this particular special force known as a special anti-robbery squad. And there was a video that came up the other day recently that surfaced, and this particular video showed the mishandling and the brutalizing of one particular individual in Nigeria. And these started trending or doing rounds around social media, and that is when the hashtag also resurfaced again. It is not really a new hashtag. It's not really a new hashtag. The hashtag has been there, and SARS. It has been there for all, but it sort of went to, it was almost forgotten. But nonetheless, right now, because of that particular video that surfaced showing the SARS involved in brutalizing one particular individual, that is when it actually led to the resurfacing of this particular hashtag and SARS. And what you get to realize is that the Nigerians are tired, not just in Nigeria. Even as we're speaking today, we are talking about even other different countries also, getting on board and trying to support this particular quest for justice and the ending of these SARS and police brutality in Nigeria. For example, South Africa, there has been some protests that were organized in South Africa, and I wanted to share with us real quick on what was happening in South Africa. And this was outrage, that being outraged because of this whole matter of the police brutality in Nigeria. And this is what was happening. Let me share this real quick as we proceed on more matters right here on the 54 Corresponding Show on Black Fire Network.
Hundreds of people took to the streets in South Africa on Wednesday to voice outrage at the shooting of peaceful demonstrators in Nigeria. Africa's most populous country has faced growing unrest as a protest over brutality by Nigerian police units ballooned into wider grievances against the government.
We are here as Nigerians to say no to bad governance. Yes. Our country is in disarray. There is a video that went viral yesterday. We say everyone should go and watch it. Nigerians being killed. They turn off the lights just because they want to kill Nigerians. They have said they want. What will make me happy if the sun is ended, if SWAT is ended, if they stop killing Nigerian youth, if they stop wasting the livelihood of Nigerian citizens, and if Buhari must go, and if they compensate those that have lost their life, and if they stop killing our heroes.
Demonstrators draped in the national flag of Nigeria and chanting liberation slogans marched to Abuja's embassy in Pretoria. Another group in Cape Town vowed to continue picketing until there was change in Nigeria.
And that is a little bit of what is happening in South Africa. And these are some of the Nigerians in South Africa that are also outraged, because of this whole situation in Nigeria. And the government has also been asked really to intervene and, end police brutality in this particular country. We do hope that there will be police reforms where we can have also maybe the deployment, the better training perhaps, even when it comes to the training of some of these officers, and even liberation, because some of them might not even be psychologically well. You might find that some of them will, they might not be well upstairs, and therefore that is what you get to discover that sometimes there need to be an evaluation every now and then, even a psychological evaluation every now and then, because how do you go and just start shooting at people? And like I said, some of them have been said to have also been involved with extrajudicial killings. Some of them have been said to have been involved in extrajudicial killings. But we shall be talking a little bit about that later on. For now, I wanted to get back into the issue of the wildlife, our wildlife heritage. And what you get to realize is that the African continent happens to have some of the best wildlife. And, some people used to say earlier that Africa is a jungle. It's really not a jungle, but what you get to realize is that Africa, you can enjoy some of the best safaris. You can enjoy some of the best safaris right here on the African continent and come and see, for example, the Big Five I was talking about earlier. I want to share with us real quick and some of the videos of the Big Five in the raw videos of some of these particular animals that you can get to see. For example, places like the Masai Mara, the Nairobi National Park, the Serengeti, among other different places where you get to see some of these Big Five. Let me share this real quick so you can get to see a little bit of the best wildlife in the continent of Africa, and then we shall talk about some of the most endangered species of animals. Some of these animals you might not even have guessed that they do exist in Africa. For example, you might not know that in Africa we also do have the wolf, and this is the Ethiopian wolf. We shall be sharing a little bit of that as we proceed right here on the 54 Corresponding Show on the Black Hot Fan Network. And remember, you can get a hold of us also on our different social media platforms. We are on Instagram, which is Black Hot Fire Network, as well as on Twitter, Black Hot Fire, and Facebook, Black Hot Fire Network Radio Station. This is a little bit of the wildlife that you can get to enjoy. This is the zebras, and they also say to be, the zebras are also said to be sort of listed as also endangered. But nonetheless, let me play this real quick, and you shall see what's happening with that. This is in Masai Mara.
The African savanna in the morning. A cheetah watches the surroundings from a termite mound. She does not miss anything what happens around. She has a special responsibility because she is not alone. 3 lively cubs playing next to her with a feeling of well-being. Big herds of animals are crossing the wide plains. The knee-high grass plains were grazed by wildebeests and zebras. We are in the Masai Mara in the east of Africa.
These are the zebras.
Kenya, the country to both sides of the equator in the east of Africa. Since the period of Bernard Jimmick, this area is well known as an animal paradise. The Masai Mara is situated in the south of the country. Together with the southern bordered Serengeti in Tanzania, it makes up one of the biggest nature reserves of the Black Continent.
That is the Serengeti and the Masai Mara. And of course, if you're wondering where you can actually catch some of the best wildlife on the African continent, then that has to be the Masai Mara, which is actually shared between Kenya and Tanzania. And I remember there was the 8th wonder of the world, which was actually added. And this has to do with the migration of the wild beasts coming all the way from Kenya into Tanzania, crossing the Mara River, and they do have to survive the alligators in this particular river when they're crossing. And this is one of the most spectacular views that you can get actually to see, and it happens around, that is around in September, August, at the end of August, and the early September. I believe that is around the period where this particular wild beast migration does take place. But nonetheless, I wanted to share with us some of the animals you do not even actually think that they exist. For example, there is the Ethiopian wolf. Yeah, there is the Ethiopian wolf, and if you're talking about some of the species that are endangered right here on the African continent, we do have this particular animal, which is the only wolf species that you do have right here on the African continent. You will not find any other, you will not find any other species of wolf on the African continent. Let me share these real quick. This is the wolf I'm talking about. This is the animal I'm talking about, and it's one of the most rare animals. It's one of the most rare animals on the continent of Africa. Like I said earlier, we don't have other wolf species on the continent of Africa. This is the only one, and it's listed as one of the most endangered species. If you go to these African Wildlife Organization, they have actually labeled they have actually put up some of the animals, and this is called the Ethiopian species, which, there are people that have, everyone has been called in Ethiopia to be, part and parcel of the project, to put in some money to save this particular wolf from extinction. And like you said, it's found in Ethiopia, and it's the only wolf species native to Africa, and is found in only 7 Ethiopian mountain ranges, with the largest population in the Bale Mountains and the second largest in the Simien Mountains. It's also called the Simien wolf. They also call it the Simien wolf. And like you said, there has also been a call even by the Ethiopian government to try and save these Ethiopian wolf from extinction. There are not so many of them left. There are just a couple of them. And people might not really know that we do have wolves in Africa. Yes, we do have them. We do have some wolf species in Africa, and that is the only one. That is the only one actually that is left. And we also do have something else that perhaps you might not know also exists. We also do have the African penguins. These are also endangered species, and the African penguins are also referred to as the South African penguins or the Cape penguins, because they're only found in the Cape of South Africa. Let me share with us these real quick. These are the South African penguins. These are the South African penguins that look like this. They are really, really unique. I haven't seen one myself. I haven't seen one in person myself. But nonetheless, there are a couple of things I have seen. I have seen the elephants, the forest elephants. I will be talking about them later on. I have seen the forest elephants. This is how the African penguins look like. Let me share these real quick. If you happen to go and to South Africa, and go to these particular places, which is the Cape, the Cape in South Africa, you will be able to see some of these African penguins, or Cape penguins, or the penguins of South Africa. I know we have all heard about the movie, The Penguins of Madagascar, but these are really not the penguins of Madagascar. This is just the African penguin, and it looks like these. And these has also been labeled as a species which is actually almost becoming extinct, and the numbers are really dwindling. I believe this also has to do with the climate change. There has been a lot of issues when it comes to the climate change. But let me share these real quick. Some quick facts, some quick amazing facts about these penguins from South Africa that perhaps you never knew earlier about. The number one fact is really that the penguins are also known as jackals penguins. They are also known as jackals penguins. And the crow nickname refers to the loud brain a cry that the African penguins make to communicate, which sounds similar to a donkey. Donkey makes some funny noise, but I believe that is almost similar to what the African penguins also do make. They also say to have they have two ways to adapt to hot and cold temperatures. And despite living on the coast and the islands of southern Africa, temperatures on the land and the sea fluctuate throughout the year, and it means that these penguins need to be able to adapt. And they have two ways of staying warm and cool fast. The African penguins have waterproof feathers, which not only help them swim swiftly through the water, but also the feathers insulate the penguins in cold waters. And on land, the African penguins use the pink gland above their eyes to keep cool in hot weather. When the weather is hot, the penguin's body will send more blood through the pink gland as a way of cooling the blood from the outside air. The African penguins are also outstanding swimmers and aquatic hunters. And you also get to realize the African penguins are more monogamous and share parenting duties. African penguins are mates for life. During the breeding season, the penguins mate return to the same site each year to nest with a clutch of two eggs. Both the male and the female penguins share incubation duties to keep the eggs warm and safe from predators. The scientific name for the African penguins is Fencicus damesas. Fencicus damesas. And there is also another fact, which is the African penguin's tuxedo is more than just fashion; it's a camouflage. It's like they are in tuxedos. If you ask me, if you look at them, closely, they seem to be sort of in tuxedos. And they are also endangered, like you said earlier. The penguins population has been on a decline due to habitat destruction, and also I said earlier because of the climate, the changes in weather. There has also been the issue of the oil spills, which have also destroyed the habitat. And I believe it's the responsibility of the people really to just make sure that they are actually looking out for these animals. And this is a Sanko observing penguins and the seabirds in South Africa. Let me share these really quick so you can also get to see what's going on with this.
Of people who saw the need for penguins to be rehabilitated, and this really is at the heart of the organization today. During the past 40 odd years, we continue our rehabilitation work where we've rehabilitated more than 90,000 seabirds to date. We also complement this work by doing environmental education, as we believe the youngsters of today need to know what are the issues and what they can do about it. We also believe in applied research that will benefit the birds in our care as well as seabirds in the wild.
That's a little bit, with the people trying to, save the penguins right there in South Africa. Like I said, some of the issues that have affected the habitats really include the oil spills. And not just the oil spills, like you said, also there has been a changing in weather patterns, and these also gets to affect, the lives and the numbers of these particular the penguins. Earlier on, I had mentioned briefly about the great wildebeest migration. I'm not share with us a little bit about what happens with this particular migration at the time of the year around August, September, right here in Kenya. These are a little bit of it, and you can get to the wildebeest are getting to travel. These also some wildlife heritage, but these are not endangered. I don't believe the wildebeest are endangered because there's a big population of them. But nonetheless, we shall be discussing a little bit more about even the white rhinoceros and the black rhinoceros. These are endangered species. But before then, let me share briefly with this video about the great migration in Kenya. That is a river where these are all beasts that do cross from Kenya into Tanzania every year around the time of August and September. And of course, that is one of the biggest spectacles that has actually been labeled as the eighth wonder of the world. And some people actually do travel, from very, very far to be able to just come and enjoy a little bit of the animals crossing over from Kenya over the Mara into Tanzania. But nonetheless, we will continue the discussion on some of the most endangered wildlife species right here on the African continent. And apart from some of those two animals that you have mentioned, we talked about the Ethiopian the Ethiopian wolf. Apart from the Ethiopian wolf, we also do have the South African penguins. And apart from the South African penguins, we also get to, shed light or highlight some other animals, which are the rhinoceros. And, there are two species of the rhinoceros. We do have the black rhinoceros. We also do have the white rhinoceros. And I was saying earlier that the white rhinoceros is really not white in color. It's really not white in color. But we do have some eggs of the female northern white rhinos are being actually harvested to enable sort of save some of these species. From what you can see, these are the last two non-female. These are the last two non-female northern white rhinos, which have been fed with carrots by a ranger in the enclosure at Olpedzeta Reservancy. That was back in 2019. And some scientists really are working on a project to try and to prevent the extinction of these northern white rhinos. And you might wonder why they are endangered, why they are in danger of being an endangered species. It's because people do hunt them or poach them for these particular tasks that they do have. And some people do say that these particular tasks do have medicinal values and other different things like that. And then there's a very, very big market for such tasks. I believe in Asia, even China. That is where most of these tasks end up finding their market. And these are not the only animals that have been hunted for the task. We shall also be speaking about the African forest elephants. The African forest elephants, they are also at a big danger of getting, becoming endangered. Because, for example, in a place like Botswana, where we do have many of them, we realize that there has been the increase of poaching. And the government has really failed these particular animals. I think even the local communities have also failed these particular animals simply because you find people trying to encroach on the habitats of animals, trying to cut down trees in the forest. And when they cut down these particular trees, they make the animals now try find other different places where they can find the new pastures, where they can find have a different healthy ecology for them to be able to survive. And I believe perhaps, the government should actually make more and better legislation that would, of course, be able to prevent human-wildlife conflict, because most of the time we do find the animals actually being endangered simply because of the human-wildlife conflict. If you look very, very closely, you will happen to discover that most animals that are said to be endangered, most of them have been endangered because of a human activity or human interference. And recently, some scientists in Kenya did harvest 10 eggs from the last two remaining northern white rhinos to keep the race, to keep the species from a total extinctions. The two females, which are Nazin and Fatuil, are mother and daughter, and live at the All Pedzeta Conservancy. This is a conservancy in Kenya, and because neither one would be able to carry a pregnancy to full term, the scientists hope to be able to create viable embryos and implant them into southern white rhinos. And if you want to start a population of the northern white rhino, one baby is not enough. You'll need as many babies as possible. That is one of the scientists that did actually say this. And now, of course, conservationists are waiting for the onset of the productive cycle of the surrogates, but say that it is nearly impossible to tell whether they are ready. The scientists plan to introduce a southern rhino bull into the females and what if they go into heat. I think if we are not very, very careful about some of these animals, I think we might get to a point where we shall be telling the future generations that these kinds of animals existed, but we will not have even we cannot be able to go past that. We can just show them in photos, just like people do talk about some animals that are already extinct right now, and these animals, we cannot really we do not really have them right now because they're already extinct. But nonetheless, we shall be continuing the conversation right here on the Black Horse Farm and talk about some of the endangered wildlife species that we do have. And of course, on the African continent, the next animal is the bonobo. This is the bonobo, and the bonobo has actually been referred to as the pygmy. It's actually referred to as the pygmy chimpanzee. The bonobo has been referred to as the pygmy chimpanzee. And this is what the chimpanzee looks like. And from the Wildlife Foundation, you happen to realize that they are also saying that this particular bonobo species is also at the risk of becoming extinct. And these are some of the images of these the bonobo species. And there are some ways that have been put on how to save some of these animals from extinction with the Wildlife Foundation. And these animals, of course, I said earlier that there has been the encroachment of forest in some areas. There has been the encroachment of forest in some areas. And therefore, you do find that these are some of the reasons perhaps that might have played a role in terms of, making these particular animals become almost extinct. Let me play the video real quick on the bonobos as well.
Bonobos are humankind's closest living relatives. They share over 98% of our DNA. They're extremely intelligent. Bonobos can actually learn and use human language. And their society and their sexuality is very different than the other great apes. It's very important for our own understanding of ourselves to understand bonobos. Bonobos inhabit the last bastion of the Congo rainforest, which is the second largest rainforest on the planet, without which all life on Earth is in jeopardy. If we protect them and protect where they live, we also protect the second lung of the Earth. The main reason bushmeat hunting has become so rampant here in the bonobo habitat and elsewhere throughout all of Central Africa is because there is no means of livelihood. Everyone tells us, if a child needs to go to school, If someone's sick and needs some aspirin, the only way the head of the household can provide for his family is to go and kill an animal. The people here said another national park won't work. A model where you draw a boundary and you throw the people out and try to protect, it's just not going to work. It's not working in many areas in Central Africa today. The better model is to have the people who share the habitat with bonobos to be actively engaged and involved and to benefit from working for conservation and sustainable development. For example, at Kokolo Puri, which is our pilot and model, we've established a health clinic, which is one of the only health facilities in this entire region. We've founded a technical college. We've started sustainable agriculture projects that are providing much better quality of food for the local people, as well as the opportunity to sell their crops. In addition, we are also really working to involve women. We've trained people in couture and provided non-electric sewing machines so that women can support their families. And what we found is that with a little bit of investment, you can get a very big result.
That is a little bit of a project, I believe, that is in Central Africa, talking about the saving of these bonobos. The bonobos actually are really, really close to the human beings, I understand. And of course, we also do share, like, there is some elements of a DNA share between the humans actually and the bonobos. But as I understand, they're just about there are not so many bonobos left in the world, and the habitat normally is in the Congo. And the Congo has been taking the second lung of the world, apart from the Amazon. And if people happen to destroy these habitats, if you go and destroy the Congo and go and destroy the Amazon, then it means that we are actually putting the world at a risk. But nonetheless, moving on from that, we also do have some of the other different species that are endangered, and of course these include the white shark. This is a white shark. This is a white shark in South Africa, and the white shark is also labeled as being almost endangered. Let me share with us this real quick. It's actually known as the great white shark of South Africa, and it has also been said the numbers are also dwindling. Let me just share these real quick so that you can also see what is happening with these white sharks.
Managing your projects should feel.
Hello and welcome to Animal Watch, and today we're seeking marine life off the coast of South Africa. Look at that!
Ranges stretching alongside expansive coastlines and crashing tides that adorn beaches that reach for miles and miles into the distance. But how about the wildlife that lurks below these waters? These mystical, dramatic, and often chaotic seas. Home to the big marine five: whales, penguins, seals, dolphins, and of course, sharks. Home to the feared and equally revered great white shark. These sharks swim these waters annually, seeking their favourite food, Cape fur seals. Shark Alley, the thin stretch of water between Dyer Island and Geyser Rock, boasts an extremely large number of great whites that circle the islands and swim through the narrow channel, hoping for a fatty snack of seal blubber. This week, Animal Watch has been invited to the award-winning beautiful private nature reserve Grootbos in Hansby, South Africa, who are responsible for unbelievable conservation projects and efforts in the community. Grootbos and their foundation have restored 2,500 hectares of rare fynbos back to its former glory, creating wildlife corridors so that once locally extinct animals have a way of returning. Part of the perks of supporting Grootbos's work and staying in their luxury eco-lodge is being able to visit the epic and diverse sea life just a 15-minute drive away. Today, I'm off with Marine Dynamics, out on the search for the big Marine 5. The swell has been large the last couple of days, but today we decided to take advantage of the calmer waters and brave the still choppy seas we'll find indeed. As we head out into the choppy waters, it's exciting to imagine that we are probably riding above the big 5 right now. I've been told that the wind will build up again later, meaning certain sea swell, so I'm keen to get cracking on in the small window we have. We journeyed out and suddenly we were surrounded by an extremely rare event, as this species is near threatened and pretty much unheard of to have so many land around a boat in one go.
Well, this is unbelievable. We've now got 9 albatrosses. They just keep landing and flying in. It's like a great big albatross meeting happening here right now. Oh my goodness, we got a 10th one coming in.
Some of the whales were only just arriving, so finding one would be tricky, but not impossible, as there had.
And of course, he's one of the teams that really went out looking for the white sharks.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you
for the white sharks, and I want to share with us some of the images of the white sharks so you can get to see what the white sharks also look like in South Africa. And the problem is there has also been the changes in the habitats. For example, the problems come with the spilling of oil in these particular areas where we did have the habitats of these particular animals. And one of the challenges that I have actually gotten to realize is that the African people really have not shown much interest in terms of preservation and conservation of the wildlife. They want to leave it that as someone else's job. They want to continue with perhaps running things their own way and interfering with these particular habitats of the animals. And this is an image of the white shark from what you can see. But from what I understand, there are also not so many of them left because of human activity, like I said earlier, which has affected in many ways and interfered with the habitats of these particular animals. So far, we have addressed some of the animals that are very, very much endangered. We have talked about the black and the white rhinoceros. We have talked about the bonobo chimpanzee. We have also talked about the white shark right now, and also the Ethiopian wolf. I said earlier that in Africa, you might not know that you do have wolves in Africa, but the Ethiopian wolf is also one of the animals that has been labeled as almost becoming extinct. We have also talked about the African forest elephant, and I have had the opportunity myself to come across and interact with just to see the elephant myself in one of the parks in Kenya, and it's really it's huge. That was in a place known as Oljogi in Nanyuki, which is also a conservancy. Which is also a conservancy right there in Kenya, where people get to go and see the elephant as well. And I got the opportunity just to go and see this particular elephant. Let me share this image real quick. I said one of the biggest challenges is that it's being hunted or it's being poached because of its tasks, because of the big tasks that it has. And we might be talking about a few years down the line where people tell you that they existed, the elephants. And right now we do not have them because people are so greedy and they wanted to get involved with the trade of the tasks. And therefore we no longer have them. You can see These are also social animals. Yeah, they move around in packs, and therefore that also puts them at a bigger risk. And they're also heavy; they cannot really move at a faster pace, which also a challenge, because if attacked or if faced by a predator or even someone who is actually poaching for their task, they might not be able to move very, very fast. Of course, they are powerful, and there has also been interference with their habitats, and also the change in climate patterns, the change in climate patterns, the change in weather patterns really has also resulted to them, their habitats being affected largely. And like I always keep on saying, there's also the element of a human interference. Yeah, human interference is still there, which has actually led to some of the forest areas being deforestation, forests being cut down, trees being cut down, and therefore interfering with the habitats of these particular animals, which we do take a pride in. There has been some attention. There has been some attention to this particular quest to try and conserve the elephants, but I believe the efforts are not enough. I believe much more should actually be done. I believe there should also be the reason of awareness, among us are different communities that do coexist or do live very, very close to the habitats of these particular animals, because there can be a peaceful interaction, or there can be a peaceful coexistence with the people living near the forest. Perhaps some of these people could also be involved in projects that would maybe perhaps be about protecting the habitats of these particular animals, or even protect the animals from poachers, because even in national parks, we hear even people, getting into national parks, and when they get into these particular national parks, they are involved with the poaching of these animals. South Africa has tried to defend the animals really by even using trackers, GPS trackers, to see that these animals are protected. Some in South Africa as well, they have also put in place electric fences. But the electric fences, I think, have not proven to be very, very much successful, because even if you limited the animals so they can move, that also puts their lives in jeopardy, because perhaps the food, or the food sources, or the places where they do get their food, the areas are not replenished. They might run out of food in these particular areas, and they need to go further and look for food. But then again, you have put up these electric fences. But nonetheless, these are some of the most endangered wildlife species. We also do have, like I said, Agi the bonobo. We do have the white shark. We also do have the South African penguin. We also do have the black and the white rhinoceros, as well as also the pangolins. Yes, the pangolins. I don't know how many of us actually get to realize that we do have so many different species of pangolins. The problem is they have recently there has been a put also on the endangered species list, and we find that their market is also big in China. Let me share these real quick. Let me share these images of the pangolins so that you can get to see what I'm talking about when I talk about the pangolins. Yes, these are some of the pangolins. These are some of the pangolins. For example, we do have there is a giant pangolin. There is a long-tailed pangolin as well. There is also the tree pangolin. There is also the ground, the tree pangolin, the ground pangolin. And from what you can see, they do have, this is how they look like. And these are endangered species, like you can see from this particular article. And there have been hunters, hunters who go out there looking for game. And when they go out there looking for game, these are the kind of animals that they are hunting. And we have had about reports of more than 1 million pangolins being trafficked from 2006 to 2015. And I believe the numbers have also increased as we speak, because these are the world's most trafficked mammals. The pangolins are the world's most trafficked mammals, and therefore they are also put at a bigger risk of becoming extinct. And I also believe that the National Geographic has also shared this particular story about the endangered pangolins in India. These are the ones in India, but you also do have some in Africa. These, from what you can see, these are the endangered pangolin pictured here, which is found both in China as well as in India. But you also do have some coming from the African continent, and these are, they are actually hunted for their skills. You can see they are actually hunted for their skills. And now, of course, they say they do have they are actually hunted for the skills from what you can see, because the money, there is money to be made. There is substantial money to be made by selling the skills to urban middlemen. But like you said, most of these skills end up in Asia, and the hunters boil the pangolins to remove the skills, which they then sell to middlemen who smuggle them to China. And that is what we have in this particular report right now, of the pangolins almost becoming extinct as well. But nonetheless, like you said, there should be a bigger push, not just by the governments themselves, but even people globally, to be able to, put in place concerted efforts to be able to protect the animals. Like you said, the pangolins, the elephants. We also do have the rhinoceros. We also do have the bonobos in Central Africa. We also do have the South African penguins. We also do have the South African white sharks. These are some of the animals that also do face the problem of extinction as we speak, because they have been labeled endangered, and therefore the government should put in more effort to be able to protect these animals. Because, like I said, some of these particular reasons as to why they are becoming extinct is human interference. There is also the issue of the change in natural habitat, from the changes in the weather patterns and the climate, and therefore we should actually put in place more measures and do some more research on how we can be able to protect these animals, to make sure that they are here with us, even for future generations, to be able to see and enjoy the wildlife heritage. Mr. Pirate Brain, thank you so much. Saying good morning, Space. Good morning to you too. I trust that you are doing well, and we are coming to the end of the show for today. We have been discussing briefly about some of the most endangered wildlife species in Africa. You might be able to enjoy and see some of these animals when you tour Africa, but nonetheless, we have to put up the effort to be able to consistently protect these animals from becoming endangered. Once again, we are winding up, and it has been a delight getting to share with you some of these animals and showing you the wildlife heritage of the continent of Africa. But we shall continue with this and much more discussions regarding these and other different issues to do with the African people in the African continent, and even as a Black people globally. We have to come together and even be involved in these projects to conserve our conserve nature, the flora and fauna. Today we have been discussing just about the fauna. These are the heritage, the animals that we enjoy, the animals the African wildlife heritage that you get to enjoy right here in Kenya, and not just in Kenya, but even in Botswana and Southern Africa and other areas of Africa. Nonetheless, we wind up on a good note, and shall leave you with the same. And there's a very, very good saying, which is from Zambia, which says, when two brothers are fight to death, a stranger will just come by and take the inheritance. That is some words of wisdom from Zambia. But nonetheless, we wish you a happy and productive remaining part of your day. Remember, you can get interactive with us on our network website. It's www.blackhotfirenetwork.com, and you can create your own profile right there on the network website. We hope to see you. But till then, much peace and love. I want to say kwaheri.